In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a project plan in Notion, complete with suggested columns and data points that will help you manage projects more effectively and regardless of the industry you're working in, the organization you're working for, or even the project type you're working on. Now, before I walk you through the full process, it's absolutely essential that I explain this ahead of time and upfront. I will be creating this project plan as a database. Now, the other thing to consider is that I will be building this out within a project management system. So this is our project management system, and this is also a database. So just bear that in mind. We're going to be basically putting a database within a database. Now, don't get confused. The reason why I want to mention this is because there are benefits of creating our project plans in this way. They are beyond the scope of this video, what databases are all about, but briefly, databases let us filter instantly. We can view projects and tasks as timelines or Kanban boards. We can link related information automatically. And here's the big one. We can templatize, if I say it correctly, our structure so that every new project starts with the same setup. So this will save you hours of repetitive work. So that being said, let's dive into creating this project plan. So as I say, I'm in my project management system. If you don't have one already, go ahead and create one or open up the project management system you're using. These are our 3 projects. We've got obviously different statuses here, and this is how we're currently viewing them. I could view it this way as well, but let's just view it by status. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be opening up one of these projects in order for us to build this project plan and new database. So I'm going to click on this here. One thing I have done ahead of time, and what I recommend that you perhaps do, is I've changed this property here. I've renamed it from assignee to project manager. That's something that you may want to do because they're going to be responsible for this project, and it just kind of, in terms of terminology, makes more sense to have that up the top. Now, we could go ahead and create lots of different sections here, but what I'm going to be showing you now is the functionality that we leverage to create a project plan. We could delete action items. Again, it's up to you if you want this on here. Let's put it here. So what I'm going to do is kind of hover over to the left-hand side, and you'll see this plus, and then you'll see that kind of drag icon. Hit the plus, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to type in TA. And what we're looking for is the table view. Okay, and it's a database. You'll see here. We could create this as a standard table, which does have merit if we wanted to keep this project plan completely separate. But as I say, there's lots of benefits in use of setting this up as a database. So I'm going to suggest this here. So left click here. At this point, we could go ahead and create our project plan from scratch. Okay. But what I'm going to suggest that we actually do is we are going to select task tracker. This is a pre-built template that we can leverage right off the bat, and it just saves you a little bit of extra work because we're just going to leverage some of the functionality and columns that have already been pre-built for us. So I could select that. If you don't see it in the suggested, click on more templates and search for it. It's likely going to be there for you, but otherwise just type in task tracker, select it. And then what's going to happen if I just select this now is we can customize this tracker. So these are the fields that are going to be in here by default. We're going to keep this in. We're going to put this in here. We're going to put, we'll put this in here. Makes sense. And we'll do attach file as well because that could be useful. I'm going to press get started now. Let's have a checklist as well. Just gives us an option in the view. So what I've now done here is I've pulled this in. I'm going to change the name of this. So I'm going to, if I edit database title, we're just going to call this, so let me do that. There we go, project plan. And what we're going to do at this point is we're just going to work through this project plan. By default, we could do lots of different things with this project plan in terms of how granular we go, and that's something that I would recommend that you do, but that's obviously going to be tailored to your specific project, your goals, how closely you want to manage each project, etc. So what we'll do is we'll create a really high level project plan now, and then you can do this in your own time using the same methodology that I have in this video. So what I want to do here is the first thing I'm going to do is right click on task name, and I'm going to select insert left. Now, what we're going to be doing here is choosing number. Now, if I double left click here and we want to rename this. So we want to double left click here, and I'm going to be calling this WBS number, or work breakdown structure number. What this does is this gives us a hierarchy in terms of the tasks, and we can differentiate between, parent tasks, subtasks, milestones, etc., phases. We can do all of that with WBS. So as an example, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be changing this task name to Project Conception, if I can spell correctly, and Initiation. Okay, and that's going to be number 1. Okay, that's the first primary phase of this project, using kind of project management terminology. Now, what we can also do at this stage, actually, it probably makes sense to do this, is if we look into where are we? We're looking for settings, and what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to click on more settings and subtasks, and we're going to want to turn these on. So what that enables us to do is to have that parent-child relationship, which is really important when it comes to managing projects by phases. Okay, so I've turned that on, and you will likely need to do that yourself. So the kind of sub items you might want are things like research, as an example, or stakeholder mapping. So I'm just going to give you a few examples. The project charter is another one. Now, these will be 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. You can see the relationship now, and this is where the work breakdown structure numbers come in really, really handy. So that is that there. So we have here, and we could select this row, and we can do lots of things here. We can right click, and we can, let's just have a little quick look. We're going to leave that. We could put an icon in here, but let's just leave this in. Actually, let's leave this in here for now. And let's just work through the columns, actually, because it's kind of important that we get those down. So we could change this, let's leave that as task name. We're going to move this. So I'm going to bring this over. So this will be the task description, or we could leave it as description, but task description makes sense. We've got status. We could keep this as assignee, or we could have this something like owner. We could have start date, and we've got due date here, but we could have start date. We could have end date. The other thing we've got is priority. That's good in there by default. We want that. Task type, again, that can be useful. I'm actually going to suggest that we delete this off for now because we don't need it, but this is something that we could change. If you're working on agile projects, as an example, you could keep things like this, but let's delete this off for now. We don't want that in here. I'm going to want to move this to the end. We're going to want to change this to last updated. And again, we'll put that to the end. That's more kind of supplementary information, which can be useful when tracking. Let's go back here. I'm actually going to change this from owner to assigned to, because I think that's better terminology for what we want here. We've got due date. Again, we could have start date and end date. I have mentioned that already. If we wanted to create those, we could right click here and we could insert left, insert right, and kind of do that. Let's actually quickly do that just to show you. Start date. We'll do that as a date column. We're going to right click this, hit duplicate property, and we'll just double left click, open that up, and we'll change that to end date. That can save a little bit of time. So we've got these two here. Oh, I've put those around the wrong way. So we've got a start date and end date when it's due. All actually makes sense. We've got the priority. Let's just check what we've got here. High, medium, low makes sense. This is kind of done automatically. This is a formula that's been set up. And this is one of the other reasons why I recommend using that kind of task tracker as our template to begin with, because it's just kind of, this is in place. You don't need to set this up. I don't think we need effort level. Let's delete that off. One other thing I would recommend that we add here that's not kind of in place at the moment is if I right click here, insert right, comments. We just want somewhere to store comments against each task. And we'll just keep that as a text. I'll make it a bit bigger just to indicate we want some more information there. The other thing I want to quickly just check is the status. So we've got not started, in progress, done. The other thing we could have is on hold. So we could click edit and then we could kind of add that as well. Let's have a little look. We could have on hold I might leave this for now just to save a little bit of time. I don't want to go into too much detail, but you could have on hold as well. We could add that as another drop down. But yeah, that's how you do that. You double click that, click edit property, and you go through this process here. Now, let's quickly finish these kind of task names. I'm actually going to do that because I think that's visually looks better for me. So we've got project conception initiation. So that's kind of WBS1. This will be 2. This will be 3. Now, number 2 will be the project definition and planning. 3 will be project launch and execution. So we've got the key phases here. I'm going to duplicate this one and duplicate it again. So I just hover over the left there, right click and duplicate. Didn't like that. So this will be 4. And that's going to be project performance and monitoring. And then let's duplicate that one more time. Hopefully it works this time. There we go. And then this is going to be basically project closeout or project closure. Now, what we can do again, so this is kind of showing you the parent-child relationships for the first phase. We can and perhaps should do this for all of these as well. So to do that, we just obviously click that drop down. So what that enables us to do is kind of look at everything, kind of not see everything, if that makes sense. And then we could put things in here, things like, this could be something like 2.1 could be something like scope and goal setting. I'm actually going to run through all of these because I think this will be really, really useful. It might be overkill for some of you, but we'll give each phase kind of 3 subtasks. So scope and goal setting, we're going to want, so 2.2, we're going to want to do the budget. And 2.3, we are going to want to look at a comms plan, so a communication plan. So that's that one. And then let's quickly look at the kind of tasks related to project launch and execution. These are going to be 3.1. I'm just going to put all the numbers in first, 3.2. So what we might want to do as part of this phase, not necessarily everything, this is just some things. And what we could do is we could even create subtasks under these as well. But in project launch and execution, we'll be looking at things like status and tracking. We'll be looking at things like KPIs and project updates as well. So I'll just put those in. Now in here, we're going to do, so in terms of the project performance and monitoring, we are going to want to be looking at undertaking activities such as the project objectives, looking back at those. Did we meet them, as an example? Another one might be, let's have a look at, we might have something like looking at our quality deliverables. Did we meet those? And then lastly, we could look at things like effort and cost tracking. Now, of course, these will all be specific to your project type, your industry, etc. So just bear that in mind. If you're struggling for ideas here, this is where you can start tapping into AI and suggesting subtasks if that is helpful for you. But this is things like team closeout, lessons learned, things like that, project assessment. So just those kinds of activities. And then lastly, I'll just put kind of admin closeout so that everything's kind of wrapped up. So that would be 5.1, 5.2, and then 5.3. And then this is essentially a project plan that you can start leveraging across all of your projects. And yeah, you can kind of move this around where you kind of want within the project itself. But yeah, the beauty of this is we can check by status. So it gives us this kind of Kanban view. We can look at tasks that have been assigned specifically to me. So let's just say you start putting my name across some of these. I can see my tasks. You can see this is a checklist as well, or we've completed project closure. You could do that as well, which is lovely. Now, the other thing kind of about this way of creating project plans in Notion is you've got, you can sort, you can create and view automations, search. There's lots of things you can do. I would strongly recommend clicking settings and just like looking at all of the different options here. Look, we've got board, calendar, gallery, map. There's so much we can do here to really explore this in your own time. You can sort, group, conditional colors. There's so much you can do. This is the source. But yeah, it's dependencies, sprints. So yeah, it's really, really invaluable. And I strongly recommend, click new template and we can kind of save this up. So this is how to create a project plan in Notion. I would suggest creating this and kind of exploring what you can do more. Lots of Notion documentation should you need it. Any questions, comments, feedback, drop down below. And with that said, over to you. Best of luck and I hope you have an excellent day.